During the 1940s to 70s, China went through significant changes. Famine occurred, laws were changed, and millions ended up dying. Life during this period was hard under the rule of communist leader Mao Zedong, but there are a few changes that had good outcomes. The new marriage law, which was delivered by Mao Zedong in 1950, changed the lives of women and men alike. In the past, marriages were often arranged and women could not seek divorce. Once this law was passed, women were no longer sold to landlords and equality was brought. People could marry who they wanted and both parties had to consent in order to marry. Mao Zedong had personal interests of women's rights and quoted, "Women hold up the half of the sky." When he came to power, he made the new marriage law a priority. With the new marriage law, there were both positive and negative effects. This law stopped the trend of selling women and forcing them to marry, and it also provided freedom to women. Later on, the OneChild Policy was established because of this law. Many babies were being born, so the population increased significantly. After the policy was introduced, the fertility rate of women decreased. Not only that, but more boys were being born due to a constant pressure to have sons. A study estimates that by the year 2020, there will be 24 million more men than women. Equality was a priority, and since the population increased after the marriage law was introduced, the one-child policy was brought to light. Many groups of people in China suffered under Mao Zedong's rule, and the loss of life was great. When Mao Zedong called for the Great Leap Forward, he wanted to transform the country into a socialist society through industrialization and collectivization. However, this campaign failed, and in return, partly caused the Great Chinese Famine. Drought and poor weather made it hard to survive. In estimation, about 15 million died and 14 million total were victims of the Great Chinese Famine. Afterwards, the country slowly recovered and Mao was often criticized for his mistakes. Mao Zedong wanted to strengthen the country, but he ended up causing great harm to China. Once the one-child policy was introduced, adoption rates did go up. Many who wanted boys but received girls often put them up for adoption in secret or privately gave them to other families. Over the years, the number of girls being put up for adoption increased. For a while, people from the U.S. adopted these girls, but the trend soon stopped. A lot of pressure was put on women to have sons, so when they instead had girls, there was a lot of disappointment. Life for women in China was often hard and grueling. They were seen as inferior to men and were often treated that way. Most spent their entire lives looking after men in the household. When the time came to have a child, there was immense pressure to have a son. Not only that, but women were expected to have no lives outside their homes and to have no ambition for themselves. During 1949 to 76, life in China was difficult under Mao Zedong's rule. However, some good things came from him as well. This topic is important to study today because it shows what can happen if power is put into the wrong hands. Even though some good things came from Mao Zedong, millions died from his decisions, and I believe that people can look at that and learn from it.